And we begin on First newspapers here in Nigeria to quickly share with you what the major stories are. It says that 2023 presidency, why Afenifere won't back TInubu, Atiku, says Adebanjo. And we can also find more on the First News this morning. Be afraid of obedient movement. VONDG warns APC, says PDP is comatose. And also PDP crisis, Secondus dares Wike accept Atiku's appointment. 2023, those marching for Peter Obi are hungry Nigerians, says Dino Melai. And also 2023, Saraki, Ayim, Shekarau and others named by Atiku as special advisors. Other stories that we can find this morning. Court dismisses EFCC's case against ex-PDP spokesman Olisa Metu. You remember he was embroiled in a 400 million naira scandal for the last couple of years. Also on the First News this morning, good use of tax revenues will enhance tax morale and compliance. That's from the FIRS. Federal government makes U-turn, withdraws order to reopen varsities. Buhari didn't call for Keyamo's sack, says the presidency. And also Nigerians concerned about hunger, not Muslim ticket, Festus Keyamo says. In sports, Paul Pogba confesses hiring a witch doctor and tells why. Also this morning, National Grid restored after partial collapse. That's from the TCN. And the final one this morning, two stories actually. Medical reports, US-based Nigerian lawyer vows to drag TInubu Obi Atiku to court. And the last story, male students protest separation from female mates in Bauchi. Those are the big ones on First newspapers this morning.
Now let's still stay in Nigeria, looking at the Daily Independent paper. On the front page, we can see confusion as federal government retracts order asking VCs to reopen varsities. And this was a conversation that was started. We did, of course, look at this yesterday. But now there have been retracted orders, it seems. We've started implementing 65 years retirement age for teachers, says federal government on page 7. INEC warns parties against hate speech ahead lifting ban on campaigns on page 29. We all know that the campaigns are starting tomorrow, so be warned against hate speech. Livestock sector gamble of generating 33 trillion naira annually, according to the federal government on page 7. You don't have monopoly of violence. Labour Party wants APC. This is on page 7. This sounds like an action film where, in Nigeria, they will now be like, gang, gang.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have monopoly of violence. Atiku names Secondus, Saraki, Ayim, Shekarau, others special advisors. Autumn denies plotting IU sack on page 6. TCN restores national grid after partial system disturbance. Disquiet in PDP over Atiku's choice of campaign spokespersons. Illegal oil lifting allegation. Nekond exposes blackmailers at work on page 6. Two more stories here. Insecurity. Grant states equal access to sophisticated arms, Akeredolu tells federal government. And final story here, revenue on the performance keeps domestic debt high as NPC considers fresh rate hike. That's all the stories we can take. If you like to follow up with any of them, it's on the Daily Independent. Let's move away from Nigeria.
All right, let's go to Zimbabwe this morning and see what's on Newsday newspapers. It says there, ED plots succession roadmap. And you can read more on that story on the Newsday newspapers talking about President Emerson Mnangagwa. It says he has reportedly ordered his ZANU-PF party to fast-track internal constitution amendments to enable him plot a succession roadmap in consultation with the proposed Council of Elders. All right, once again, more of that on the front page of Newsday newspapers. Also, party cancels laptops tender. And also Shoko Festival on the roll. You can find more of that on page 14. Just a few stories as always on the Newsday newspapers.
Now let's head over to Kenya, the Daily Nation. On the big page here, we can see judges have unkind words for IEBC. Now talking about how Ruto won. User forgeries to dispute election results, failure to prove ballot stuffing claims, and a vote recount that reflected the tally by the Electoral Commission undermined the petition challenging the election of Dr. William Ruto as president, judges say. The details of that on page 4, 5, and 7. As Azimio in subdued protest. We can see a photograph there. Police officers arrest a protester around or outside Anniversary Towers in Nairobi yesterday. Now we can see on the right of the paper, 50.49%. That's the percentage by which Ruto won the presidential election, crossing the threshold by less than 1%. Supreme Court's recommendations, we can see them here. There are about 6 recommendations on the front page of the Daily Nation newspaper. At the top of the paper, Mombasa back in business as port order takes off. It's interesting that, we're talking about the building collapse in TInubu County, and I was wondering, if it would make it to the front page of the papers, but unfortunately, it didn't make it to the front page of the papers.
And of course, the TInubu building collapse you're speaking about, reportedly has 6 people dead so far.
Yes.
With 2 children among those 6. So it's a really, really sad
unfortunate
story.
Yesterday, the governor, President William Ruto William Ruto had tweeted something asking about, I think, where they would have lunch or where do we have lunch, and then someone retweeted and said, "Sir, we're so sorry, we're not talking about lunch. People have a building has just collapsed in TInubu County and we've lost lives. So this is not the conversation we're having
Absolutely,
now."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an important one. But the good thing is we're talking about it here on Breakfast Central.